You know, I'm not going to speak to anybody else's lawsuit. Again, we're going to fall back on the testing and the vetting process that we're completely, undeniably comfortable with.
Captain Galaviz says ISP sent firearms instructors to meet with Sig Sauer, and the officers picked which guns to test.
So we did our own independent testing and our own independent vetting.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Midwest 2A YouTube channel. Today, I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. We broke the 2,000 subscriber mark and I couldn't be happier. So thank you guys for doing that for me. A little bit of housekeeping. To preface this video, I want to start off by saying I support law enforcement. I have nothing against law enforcement, and I do not wish to cut any of their funding. My goals with these videos is to uncover potential fraud and ethics violations and bring them to the front and center of the public opinion so that we can stop this and prevent it from happening in the future. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you go back and watch my first video that I just put out this week that kind of gets into this and kind of explains what I'm looking into as far as the Indiana State Police and the acquisition of their new P320 handguns. Since my last video, I've spent some time scouring through articles and online databases, trying to find more information that, would drive me in the right direction. I knew I smelled something bad and I wanted to follow my nose and get to the bottom of this. And what I ended up finding was 3 individuals that I wanted to take a closer look at. And today I want to name those individuals. I'm going to break it down and show you how they play a part in this. And it's not specifically just for the adoption of the P320. Unfortunately, this goes back over a decade that this has been happening, where an individual leaves the Indiana State Police and is hired directly onto Sig Sauer's sales team. Now, whether these are pre-arranged deals that these troopers have with Sig Sauer that, hey, if you do this test and you get this platform for your department, we have a job for you when you retire. I don't know that that's happening, but the way everything's kind of lining up, it sort of looks that way. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So the 3 individuals I'm going to discuss today are Trooper Corey Mock, Trooper George Smith, and Trooper Thomas Melching, I don't know. I'm going to put this flowchart on the screen here, and I have their service history tied to how many years they were on the department and some background information. I'm not going to go through all that, but if you guys want to pause the video and read through each one, go ahead and do that. I'm going to jump into a brief history lesson on the Indiana State Police as it pertains to Sig Sauer. We're going to go all the way back to 2012 when the Indiana State Police adopted the Sig Sauer M400 as their patrol rifle. Now, at the time, the Indiana State Police did not want to spend a bunch of money, so they only acquired about 1 or 2 per district, and they handed those out. They didn't have enough to give to everyone. So what they did at the time, they just told all the troopers, hey, if you didn't get a patrol rifle, you can use your personally owned rifle as long as it adhered to a certain criteria. And those 3 criterion being they are an AR-15, they are a Mini 14, or they are a Steyr AUG, which is rather odd. 2013 comes around and Superintendent Carter, the new superintendent of ISP, says, hey, we're going to give the SIG M400s to all of our troopers. He did not like the fact that they had personal owned patrol rifles, so everyone was getting the M400. Now in 2013 as well, ISP approved the adoption of the SIG P227. Now the SIG P227 would end up retiring the Glock 21s and the Glock 22s that ISP had a bunch of issues with. Stems back to like the mid 2000s, 2006. They had Glocks and they had a ton of issues with Glock customer service, and they wanted to be done with Glock. And that might lead up to why Glock wasn't selected in this process. And this is where we get to our first person of interest, Tom Melching. So Master Trooper Thomas Melching, he was a senior firearms instructor and a master trooper and all those things. And Trooper Melching was part of the group that was included in the testing of the P227 prior to the adoption. Whether or not him being part of that group and in that selection, I don't know if Trooper Melching was involved in Sig Sauer at the time, if he had already had talks with joining Sig Sauer and retiring from ISP. I do not know that, but I do know that he was part of the group that was involved in the testing. And there was a lot of drama around this at the time, a lot of water cooler talk amongst other ISP troopers. The SIG P227 is adopted in 2013, and Trooper Melching leaves ISP and is hired by Sig Sauer. Now, I don't know what role he was hired for at Sig Sauer, but I am assuming it was for the LE Regional Sales Manager position. Considering that these next two individuals left ISP and joined the exact same position, that's kind of what I'm following along with here. Also, the next individual I will speak on, he talked in a podcast not too long ago how he was talking to a friend that left ISP, was hired by Sig Sauer, and was a position he was kind of interested in. And that friend told him, hey, I'm going to be getting a promotion soon and that position is going to become open. You should apply for it and I'm going to move up to my new position and you'll take the LE sales manager position for the Indiana region. So that brings us to our next individual, Trooper Corey Mock. Now, Trooper Corey Mock, he left ISP in 2019. So there's a little bit of a gap here, right? 2013, 2019. So Mock leaves ISP, joins Sig Sauer, and he becomes the LE sales regional manager for, I believe, District 4 at the time, which included Indiana, Michigan, Kentucky, Ohio, Illinois, basically the tri-state region here. And he became, like I said, the LE sales manager. Now remember all of these dates, they're very important, right? Trooper Mock is hired by Sig Sauer in 2019. Well, what else happened in 2019? I spoke on it in my last video. ISP adopted the Sig Sauer P365 as their backup duty weapon. Now, I'm not claiming that he had anything to do with it. I have no way of proving that, but I'll let the timeline speak for itself. It looks rather suspect. Now, Trooper Corey Mock was with Sig Sauer from 2019 to 2022, where he left and went to do other things. So fast forward a couple years, and here we are in 2025. And we get to our final individual that we're going to speak on in the video, and that would be George Smith. Now, George Smith, it was kind of difficult finding some of the information on this guy. He was with ISP for 27 years. Unfortunately, I don't have a transition date for him, as I do not know if he retired or if he left ISP, but I do know that he is currently the LE sales regional manager for Sig Sauer. It's now called District 8. They changed it around a little bit of what states he's in charge of, but it's pretty well the exact same job that Trooper Mock was doing. And that's where we are at current day, where the Indiana State Police selects the Sig Sauer P320. Now, I don't know that Trooper Smith is directly involved with ISP selecting the P320. I don't know if they knew that there's conflict of interest there and they swapped him out, but I am assuming that since he is the regional sales manager for our state, that he would in turn be involved with this deal. So I find that a conflict of interest that a state trooper leaves ISP, gets a job with Sig Sauer, and now they select this handgun for their contract. And it just seems extremely odd. I mean, I saw all your guys' comments on the last video. Pretty much everyone says, what the heck's going on here? I mean, you look at all the social medias, all the news stations, everything. Everyone is questioning this. And it seems like the only ones not questioning this is ISP themselves. So currently, two of the people we spoke about are still working for Sig Sauer. George Smith is still the LE sales, and Thomas Melching is actually, he worked his way up. He's pretty high up there in Sig Sauer. He is the director of sales for everything west of the Mississippi. So he may not be directly involved in this deal right here, but you can. So guys, I'll keep it short and sweet for you. This is the information I have to provide to you guys as of right now. I did submit a FOIA request with the Indiana State Police. I'm trying to acquire all the documents as it relates to the testing of the P320 and all the other manufacturers in the trials. And I saw some comments saying, well, why are you doing this? Why are you wasting your time? You're not going to change anything. This is stupid, so on and so on. I know I'm probably not going to change the outcome of this contract, and I'm definitely not trying to catch a lawsuit by any means. This is my state. I care for our troopers, I care for our people, and I don't want our tax dollars being spent irresponsibly, especially if there's any sort of corruption going on, right? And I want to expose this. I mean, I'm not trying to be a whistleblower by any means. I was just a guy with a phone that made a YouTube video and it got out there, right? I've talked to some certain news agencies that weren't even aware that the ISP was getting a new firearm. They had no idea. And I think it's our duty as citizens to make sure that people are held accountable. So guys, that's all I have for you today. I wanted to bring this information forward, show you kind of what I put together, and that I am continuing to look into this. If you happen to know anything, feel free to reach out to me via email or social media. I'll keep you completely confidential. I definitely don't want anyone's names getting out there, but I'm definitely looking for all kinds of information just so I am staying on the right track. I don't want to provide any wrong information, right? Everything I've provided in this video so far is all alleged. It's all public information that you can go find online and timelines that I've put together. I'm not saying any of this is happening, but it seems really odd that certain things seem to line up on a certain timeline, right? With that being said, thanks guys for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Maybe we'll hit 3,000 subscribers in the next month. I'm going to keep pumping out some videos. I got cool firearms content coming out here shortly, so stay tuned.